watching Germantown Municipal Television, your source for everything Germantown.
Hello, and welcome to On the Beat on Germantown Municipal Television. I'm your host, Rodney Bright, Deputy Chief of the Germantown Police Department. On this show, we will provide you, the viewers, with a behind-the-scenes look at policing in Germantown and introduce you to some of the men and women who work hard to keep Germantown one of the safest cities in Tennessee. We also hope to provide information related to public safety in a manner useful to our entire community. Today, I'm glad to welcome Darrell Smith, Tournament Director for the FedEx St. Jude Golf Classic. Later, we will go outside the studio and speak to Lieutenant Brown Wallace about the efforts of the police department to keep our community safe through our traffic enforcement initiatives. Finally, we will speak to Matt Price about his role as a department legal advisor and city prosecutor. But first, I am pleased to welcome Darrell Smith to the show. Darrell, first of all, thank you so much for coming on the show with us.
Yeah, you bet, Rodney. I'm glad to be here. Thanks for asking.
And I know that there's a huge event on our calendar that's coming up soon, and it'll be about 48 days from the time that we're here in the studio, and such a huge event for our community. Just how's the preparation going?
Yeah, so no, I appreciate you asking. There's no lack of activity at TPC Southwind as we get ready to conduct the 2018 FedEx St. Jude Classic, which will be the 61st playing of professional golf here in Memphis. So as you can imagine, the activity ramps up this time of year. There's a lot of people on site that are starting to that show up and do their jobs and their duties, and starting to build hospitality for all of our corporate customers and volunteer recruitment and all those good things. So it's a really exciting time at TPC Southwind and for our staff at the FedEx St. Jude Classic.
And I know, having been to the tournament a number of times, I know it's a huge undertaking, but maybe just rewind just a little bit. Just talk about a little about how you ended up in the role as tournament director.
Yeah, I've been very fortunate. I took the advice of when you're a young person, a lot of people say find something you love to do and do it. And one thing that I loved was the game of golf. So at that time, I said, I'm going to work in the game of golf, which at the time my dad was uncertain of that, of how am I going to work in the game of golf? I'm not going to be a professional golfer. But, I've had a lot of doors open for me. And as I went to the University of Tennessee in Knoxville, I called up our dear friend Phil Cannon, who's no longer with us at the FedEx St. Jude Classic, and said, hey, I'm your man for any job that you possibly want. I can do anything. I can dig a hole. I can move a box. I can answer the phones. And got my start in 2005 at the golf tournament as an intern. And from there, I've been able to stay in the game of professional golf. I went to Dallas, Texas, and worked at the AT&T Byron Nelson Championship in the operations world. So operations world in professional golf is basically everything outside the ropes. I worked with security, I worked with catering, I worked with parking, worked with player relations, all those type of things to make it go off without a hitch. And after working in Dallas, I came back as tournament manager at the FedEx St. Jude Classic, where I overtook the sales efforts. So I was responsible for all the revenue related to the tournament. And from there, I transitioned into tournament director when Phil Cannon retired. So very, very fortunate. I've been just following my dreams, and doors have opened for me every single place I've been.
And I know you talked about starting to see some things take place out there on the property right now. But I'm guessing that being the tournament director and getting ready for an event probably takes more than just a couple of months of preparation.
Oh yeah, without question. It's a lot of people think that everything just happens instantaneously out there, and we have 7 full-time staff members that work all year round for this 1 week, and we're constantly working on the next event, and we're constantly working on how we can improve and have a better event for the city of Memphis and for the region totally. So we're kind of in the execution period right now. So we're executing all of our plans that we've been talking about for the last 12 months. But we're always looking for volunteers and volunteer recruitment. We're always looking for new corporate partners. We're trying to refine our operations plan, make it more efficient for everybody that's on site that experiences professional golf here in Memphis. So there's a lot of work. Without 1,800 volunteers, it wouldn't be possible. We have a saying in our office that we like to get out of the way come tournament week and let our volunteers run with it, and we're very proud of the relationship we have with our volunteers.
And I know in years past that our department, we're a neighbor to the north of Southwind, and as the tournament's grown and more parking and facilities are closer to the event, which is really beneficial, I'm assuming, for the patrons. We've played a role to help with traffic or whatnot, but I know that there is a safety security component of the planning, and I guess could you speak to that just a little bit? Oh
yeah, I mean, without question, we meet with Shelby County sheriffs and local law enforcement and the whole crew to make sure that the planning phase of our tournament is well thought of, and the experience for the spectators on site is the best experience we can possibly do. And we do increased traffic flow during the week of tournament week in that general area. So we need everybody on board with us to make sure that we're all working together to provide a great experience. And we'll work with the Shelby County sheriffs throughout the year to make sure that our security procedures are in line with other professional sporting events, because at the end of the day, that's what we are. We're a professional sporting event that has some unique challenges in that we don't have an arena, we don't have 18,000 seats. We have 18 holes of golf spread across several acres, and so we work tirelessly with all the law enforcement to make sure that everything that we do is buttoned up and that we have a great experience.
I know that the event has been such a part of the fabric of our area for a long time, even going back to the colonial days. But just as we get close to wrapping up here, would be remiss if I didn't at least give you an opportunity to talk about. Yes, we love to see great golf, an exciting event and all that, but the partnership that the tournament has with St. Jude, could you just speak about that just for a minute?
Yeah, I mean, we had a great partnership with St. Jude. We've had it since 1970, and at the end of the day, we exist to drive awareness and raise funds for those kids down at St. Jude, and we've raised over $38 million for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. We're really proud of our affiliation with St. Jude. We've won Best Charity Integration on the PGA Tour the last 3 years in a row. We've won it 4 times overall. And whatever we do, if it's good for whatever we do on site, we want to make sure it's good for St. Jude. And that's kind of at the front of our minds in everything that we do. So we're extremely fortunate to have St. Jude in our hometown. We want to make sure that they are highlighted throughout our tournament, and we'll continue to do that in 2018 and beyond.
I think that's certainly very evident. If you go out to the property, you see that. You see the support that the hospital has. As we wrap up here, I guess I'd be also give you an opportunity to speak about it. Just some news broke about the event, maybe for next year. Just give you an opportunity to talk about that.
Yeah, so the future of professional golf in Memphis has never been brighter, and a lot of that is due to our title sponsor and FedEx. And FedEx believes in the game of golf as a sports marketing platform for their business. And without them, the FedEx St. Jude Classic might not be here. But with them, we've had the opportunity now to transform our event into a World Golf Championship starting in 2019. And what that means is that our event will be on an elevated platform, so the best players in the game of golf will want to come to Memphis, and they'll want to be in Memphis to play in the World Golf Championship FedEx St. Jude Invitational. We're replacing a tournament that was played in Akron, Ohio. Last year at that tournament, they had 49 of the top 50 players in the world. So while we strive to get the best players in the world to come to Memphis and play in the FedEx St. Jude Classic, with this elevated platform, we think it's more likely that those players will come to Memphis, and it'll be much more of a regional draw. You'll see the stars of golf like Jordan Spieth and Rory McIlroy and Ricky Fowler, and hopefully maybe Tiger Woods finally make it to Memphis and participate in our PGA Tour event. So we're extremely excited about 2018, and we're also very excited about what 2019 brings to us.
Well, you certainly have a lot of reasons to be excited about both those, and we're excited to be partner in some ways and be a good neighbor, and we're excited for our overall community and what you bring to us. And first of all, I know you're very busy right now, and thank you for just a few minutes of sharing your time and what you guys are doing over there.
Well, you bet. I mean, it's a total team effort, and we have a saying in our office that this event is far bigger than one individual, and it's a collection of our entire community to produce a professional sporting event each and every year. So thank you all for y'all's support.
Absolutely, thank you. It's time to take a short break. When we return, we will venture out of the studio and speak to Lieutenant Brown Wallace about our traffic enforcement initiatives. Please stay tuned.
Most party fouls are pretty dumb. But if you decide to drink and drive underage, you could lose your license and your freedom. Underage drinking and driving. The ultimate party foul.
Oh, emojis! I thought the conversation just got dumber.
Ugh, internet trolls, just ignore them.
I like you just the way you are.
I believe in you!
She's a hugger. Give her a squeeze.
Help up the hand.
Ah, there you go.
Thanks, mate.
You're killing it, Jane!
You are watching Germantown Municipal Television, your source for everything Germantown.
Welcome back to On the Beat. The Germantown Police Department takes an intentional approach to traffic safety and traffic enforcement. Here to talk about some of the department's efforts in traffic enforcement is Uniform Patrol Lieutenant Bryan Wallace. Lieutenant Wallace, first, welcome to the show out here on this beautiful day on Johnson Avenue.
Thank you, Deputy Chief.
And just by way of introduction, tell us a little bit about how long you've been with the department.
I got hired in 1998, so this year will be my 20th year. And spent some time in patrol, at school as a school resource officer, and did about 10 years in investigations. And I've been a lieutenant for about 3.
Well, good. Thanks for your service, and
Yes,
certainly
sir.
thanks for joining us. And
Yes, sir.
as you know, working in the Uniform Patrol Division, one of the primary areas of focus that we have is traffic safety and traffic enforcement, and certainly an area of concern for our residents.
Sure.
Could you talk a little bit about some of the goals and some of the things we try to achieve through our efforts?
You know, so I grew up out here in Germantown, and the police presence growing up out here was always very, it was very, not a heavy police presence, but we always knew the Germantown police were very vigilant, and it's maintained that through my career. One of the things that we do, contrary to what I believed when I was a kid, is not just to charge people money for speeding, it's to promote voluntary compliance. We want to basically ensure the safety of the motorists as well as pedestrians, and we do that through proactive enforcement. We go out and look for violators, and we try to get voluntary compliance on a daily basis.
You know, we talk about, some of our goals, certainly those are extremely important, and traffic safety is a big component of our recipe for successful policing.
Yes, sir.
Talk a little bit about maybe the mechanics of the actual act of getting out and running radar, what we're looking for, how that works.
Well, we've got a bunch of several methods that we use to slow people down or get them to adhere to traffic laws, stop signs, red lights, things like that. Obviously, the first thing we use is the patrolman's eyes. We have them watch and monitor traffic and make sure they're schooled up on the most recent traffic laws and the things that are being the most pressing issues here in the city. But we use officers out in police cars. We have a radar trailer we'll put out. A lot of times people that are speeding, they don't realize they're speeding. So a radar trailer kind of gives them a visual aid, to slow down. We also, we have radar units to measure people's speed. just several things in our toolbox we can use to actually gain voluntary compliance.
And I know we're out on Johnson Road, but traffic complaints and traffic concerns are not unique to this area of the city.
Sure.
Can you speak a little bit about, how we address complaints? Is that something that we get regularly? And then when we get a complaint about traffic safety or traffic issues, what's the approach of the patrol division?
Well, the nice thing about Germantown is one of the nice things is our primary bulk of complaints as far as that we get from citizens are traffic related. Now we get other complaints, but surely traffic is an important issue to us. What we do is we receive a complaint from a citizen. We will document that, spread it out to all three shifts, and or at least the shifts that it applies to. And then we get with our officers and roll call. I might stand up in front of at the beginning of my shift and tell officers, hey, we've had a complaint over here on Johnson Road about speeders, and we'll go out, create a spreadsheet, and actually document each stop that we make, the speed, and we do our best to get back with the complainant and let them know what we've done to address their complaint, and try to not just blast it as soon as we get the complaint. We try to stick with it. So we will deploy the radar trailer, officers on the street, and sometimes we'll have units out there that are unmarked and in really high traffic areas to do everything we can to make people safe.
Very good information for sure. I know that we talked about traffic enforcement regarding traffic safety and the roadways. You're trying to keep crashes down. Certainly, all those are important. But what are some other benefits from being highly proactive and being visible through traffic enforcement?
Well, besides the things we've already mentioned, going beyond the stop, an officer never knows what he's going to encounter when he stops a car. He has no idea who's inside the car, where they've been, what they've done, if they're wanted, if they have any contraband in their car, weapons, anything like that. There's been studies done across the United States that show traffic enforcement, robust traffic enforcement, has a direct correlation to the reduction of crime, specifically violent crime. The idea there is if someone drives into our city, because the majority of our offenders aren't residents here, if someone drives into our city and they see robust enforcement officers out there stopping people for infractions, it gives them pause. Maybe I'm going to go somewhere where the police presence isn't nearly as high as it is out here. So it reduces violent crime. It gets guns out of the hands of people that shouldn't have them. It gets narcotics off the street. It gets people arrested that are wanted by the fugitive system downtown or across the country.
As we wrap up here real quick, very, very good information. Someone has a complaint, what do?
Call us. Give us a call. I mean, you can call dispatch and tell them. You can go up to the front desk and speak with Officer Janelli. You can call and ask for me. You can stop one of the officers that you see driving through. This is what we're here for. And we tell the citizens every time we come in contact with them, we're here to serve the citizens of Germantown and the people that are traveling through. And if you see us, say something to us.
Absolutely. Well, thank you,
Yes,
first
sir.
of all, for your service to the department and the city, and thanks for joining us today on the Beat.
Glad to do it, Chief.
It's time for a short break. When we return, Detectives Jeff Gammill and Hayward Anderson will join us. Please stay tuned.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move, so I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day, I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
Hey, let's check out this park. Oh, wow, that's really cool.
To find a great local park or forest near you, go to discovertheforest.org.
You are watching Germantown Municipal Television, your source for everything Germantown.
Welcome back to On the Beat. I'm your host, Deputy Chief Rodney Bright. The public has developed a unique interest in the methods used by law enforcement to process crime scenes. Here to speak about some of our department's capabilities in crime scene processing are Detective Jeff Gammill and Detective Hayward Anderson. Gentlemen, first of all, thank you and welcome to our show.
Thank you for having us. Appreciate it.
Just by way of introduction, just like to just tell a little bit about the viewers about how long you've been with the department and how long you've been working investigations.
Okay, I've been with Germantown for 21 years. The last 11 years I've been in investigations unit.
Thank you, Jeff. Detective Anderson?
Yeah, I've been with the department 13 years, and I've been in the investigations division for 3 years now.
I know that there are a lot of different tools and techniques and skills that are needed to do the job well back there in your division. And recently, Detective Anderson, I guess you received an honor and you were able to participate in a lengthy training program. And could you tell our viewers a little bit about that?
Right, I was able to attend the National Forensic Academy, which is in Oak Ridge, Tennessee. It's a 10-week intensive crime scene training program that's taught by leading forensic scientists and key members of our law enforcement community. And the training covers all facets of crime scene investigation. So, I really appreciated having the opportunity to go, because it just gives us a chance to enhance our skills and knowledge on being able to investigate a crime scene properly.
I think also, Jeff, you've been a graduate of that training as well. It's about 10 weeks long.
Yes, sir, it is. I went in 2009, and like he said, it's just a great opportunity to get training in all different aspects of crime scene. Their instructors are top-notch and very well educated on the subjects they instruct.
And I know it's called the National Forensic Academy, but I believe it has a nickname that they refer to is...
The Body Farm?
The Body Farm, okay.
Yes, sir, that's 1 week of it.
Well, coming back from that, what do you guys believe that, you gained from that experience that could help you do your job day in and day out?
It helped us in multiple ways. Like I said, it was hands-on training. We went through everything as far as how to develop fingerprints on paper, wood, just all kinds of different materials. We've learned how to do that. We learned how to study different rates of decomposition to try to determine that, as well as, blood spatter, arson. There was just a ton of stuff that we brought back regarding processing crime scenes. And
so I'm guessing that when you were going through the training, as it's a little bit different than what some of the public may see on TV on the crime scene related shows, that there are a lot of things that they can do in a short amount of time. I guess in reality that's probably not true.
Right, absolutely. Yeah, a lot of the things we see on TV are not reality, but as far as DNA, being able to collect DNA evidence and like you said, blood spatter and pretty much processing and getting evidence that way is pretty much the reality of it. Is I don't know.
I know when we call the detectives out, it's usually a little bit more serious of a scene or an incident. Can you talk a little bit about some of the things that we maybe are more routine than others that we might do day in and day out that really aren't something that involved long-term processes, just some of the initial on the scene stuff?
Yes, sir. So when we get called out, depending on what the crime scene is, like if it's a death scene or something like that, we have a great patrol division which will have secured the scene and everything, and our job is to document it and try to figure out what happened. So that will include photographs, videoing the scene, recognizing, collecting evidence, and all the way through interviewing victims, suspects, witnesses, and ultimately, working with the medical examiner to try to find out if it was a natural or whatever else. And there's just so many different types of crime scenes that we do work.
And I know in my experience, we try to bring our best game to every scene, right, and to every incident, and give the public, the best service possible. And that includes, whether it's a car break-in or somebody just stole something from a house. Can you talk about some of the more routine aspects of crime scene work, like fingerprints, what that involves, and then if you're able to gather some fingerprints, what do we do with them after that?
So normally when we investigate a crime and there are fingerprints involved, like I said, we lift those fingerprints. It may come off of a vehicle. It may come off of just any type of evidence that we collect. And what we do with that those fingerprints, we take them to APHIS, which is basically where we take all fingerprints for identification. So if you're in that database, and your fingerprints in that database, then we can match it to a particular suspect.
And maybe a little bit like TV, I'm assuming there's probably some success cases that we've had in able to maybe run some evidence through a national database or whatever.
Yes, sir. We've had home invasions that we've been able to use DNA from blood collected on the scene, from hats, gloves that have been discarded in a home invasion. We were able to tie numerous suspects into that. And also we've had aggravated burglaries where people have gotten cut going through windows and they've left their blood behind, and we have been able to tie that into through the CODIS system and get a match, on DNA and figure out who the suspect was and prosecute the suspect for the crimes.
Those are great examples. I know we are a safe community, and we know that, but we do have some crimes every now and then, mainly property crimes. What is something that you maybe want our viewers to know that if they just unfortunately were the victim of a theft or something like that, when we want to come in and maybe try to process a scene, are there things that they could do, even before we get there?
I would say if it's a home burglary, a residential burglary or something like that, not touch. If you're responding, you're coming home from work and you notice that your residence has been burglarized, to just contact us immediately and not go through and touch anything, because that would make it difficult for us to kind of get prints off of different items within the home. So the main thing would just be to not walk through it and just let us come and do our job.
Well, I know that what you guys do is extremely important and a lot of value added to the department, right. And your dedication when you get a case is noteworthy, and I know that you work those very hard. And first, I just want to say thanks for being here. Thank you for serving with our department. Thank you for being willing to go and get that extra training. It certainly adds to our capabilities.
Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity.
That's all the time we have on this edition of On the Beat. We'd like to thank all of our viewers for tuning in this season of On the Beat. We've enjoyed this opportunity to highlight the people and programs that keep our city safe. Also, thank you to the students and staff at GMTV for making this show possible. If you'd like more information on this show or any other show on Germantown Municipal Television, please visit www.gmtvonline.org. If you have questions about policing in Germantown, feel free to send those by email to my attention at rbright@germantown-tn.gov. We'll see you when On the Beat returns next season.